When I saw the woman kissing my husband outside the daycare, I did not scream. I did not run toward them. I did not cry. I took a photo. Then I turned and walked away like I was never there. His name was Adam, and for 8 years, he was my whole world, my husband, my best friend, the man who said he loved me every night before bed. And now, I had a photo of him kissing another woman, a woman holding a baby that looked just like him. I got into my car and sat in silence. The rain hit the windshield, but I did not turn on the wipers. My hands were shaking. My heart was cold. My eyes stayed dry, because something deeper than sadness had started to grow inside me. We lived in Manchester, in a small flat not far from the city center. I had met Adam at a law firm where I worked as a paralegal. He came in one day as a client and left with my number. I had never been the kind of woman men remembered, but he remembered me. Or at least, he acted like he did. We married after 8 months. He said life was short. He said he had never loved anyone the way he loved me. I was too flattered, too lonely, too hopeful. And so I said yes. Before we continue, I would love to know, where are you listening from? Which city? Which country? Share it in the comments. And if this story speaks to you, please subscribe so you can hear more stories every week. At first, everything felt perfect. We had dinner together every night. We made plans for holidays. He surprised me with small gifts. I felt lucky, but slowly, he changed. He started taking calls in other rooms. He worked late more often. He said his job was getting more demanding. I believed him. I always believed him. That was my mistake. Then last week, he said he had a short business trip in Leeds. He left before sunrise. He kissed me goodbye and said he would call at night. But he did not call. That same day, I met my old friend Layla for lunch. She worked in social housing. We had not seen each other in years. Over sandwiches and tea, she showed me photos of her latest work, supporting single mothers with small children. One photo made me freeze. It was of a woman holding a baby outside a modest flat, and beside her was Adam, smiling. I asked her who the man was. "Oh, him?" Layla said. "That's Sam. He's been helping that young mother, brings groceries and things. She told me he's her partner." Sam. My husband's middle name. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking of that photo, thinking of the baby, thinking of him. The next morning, I followed him. I watched him leave with his suitcase. He walked past the train station and took a cab. I got into my car and followed from a distance. He did not go to the train station. He went across town into a quiet neighborhood I did not recognize. He got out, looked around, then walked up to a house with a red brick path. A woman opened the door. She was holding the same baby from Layla's photo. Adam leaned in, kissed her gently. My chest felt like it cracked. I stayed in the car, took one photo, then drove away. That night, when he came home, I did not say anything. He said Leeds was cold and boring. I nodded. He asked if I missed him. I said yes, but the truth was something else. The truth had already started to grow in my chest like ice. The next morning, I opened the photo again. It was clear. His face close to hers. The way he looked at her. It was not casual. It was not distant. It was the same way he used to look at me when we were first in love. I zoomed in on the baby's face. The child had the same dark curls as Adam, the same deep-set eyes. There was no question in my mind. This was not a child he supported as a friend or neighbor. This was his child. I did not know how to feel. I was not screaming. I was not crying. I was thinking. Quietly, slowly, carefully, like someone walking through a room full of broken glass. That day, I did something I never thought I would. I checked his phone. I waited until he went to the bathroom and left it on the table. His messages were locked, but the photos were not. There were pictures of that same baby, dozens, at the park, in a cot, in a small bedroom I had never seen. In some of the photos, Adam was holding the baby, laughing. He looked like a man who loved being a father, and I had never been told. I had never even been asked if I wanted to have children. I went cold. For years, he told me he was not ready for a baby. He said work was too busy, that the world was too hard, that we were not in the right place yet. He said, "Maybe next year." That night, I made dinner like always. I sat across from him at the table. He talked about traffic, about a new manager at his office. I listened, nodding, eating, but inside me, everything was burning. After dinner, he said he had a quick call to take. He stepped into the other room. I followed quietly. Through the thin wall, I heard his voice. It was soft. "Did she sleep okay?" "Good. I'll try to come by tomorrow. Give her a kiss from me." He was talking to the other woman, and he said her. The baby was a girl. My stomach turned. Later that night, after he fell asleep, I looked at his suitcase. He had not unpacked it. I opened it carefully. Inside were receipts, a train ticket, not to Leeds, but to a smaller station near the house I had seen, a receipt for baby formula, another one from a toy shop. He was not hiding it well anymore. Maybe he thought I would never look. Maybe he believed I would never suspect. Or maybe he just did not care. I lay in bed that night, staring at the dark ceiling, wondering, how long had he been living this second life? Was it before we married? Or did it begin after? Was I the secret? Or was she? I thought back to every quiet moment, every strange look, every missed call. And suddenly, the pieces began to fall into place. One night, 6 months ago, he came home smelling of lavender. I had asked him why. He laughed and said someone in the office used a new perfume. I had believed him. Another time, he left a voice note on his phone meant for Paul from the office. But it started with, "Hey, babe." I had told myself he was joking. I did not want to see it. Now, I could not unsee it. I was living with a stranger A man who smiled at me with the same mouth he used to lie. A man who held my hand while holding another woman's child in his arms. But still, I did not know what to do. Was I ready to confront him? Was I ready to hear the truth from his lips? Or was I afraid that if I asked, everything would break, including me? I woke up early the next day and lay in bed, watching the light move across the ceiling. Adam was still asleep beside me. His face looked calm, peaceful, like someone with nothing to hide. I studied his features and wondered how many mornings had passed like this, with me looking at a man I did not fully know. I slipped out of bed quietly and walked to the kitchen. I made coffee and sat at the table with my phone. I opened the photo again. Him, her, the baby, the truth. It stared back at me without blinking. No more questions. No more excuses. The lie was too clear now. That morning, I told Adam I needed some time. I said I was going to visit my friend in Bristol for a few days. I packed a small bag and kissed his cheek. He looked at me with a concerned face and asked if everything was okay. I smiled and said, "Of course." Then I turned and walked out the door. But I did not go to Bristol. I drove across town and parked near the quiet street where the other woman lived. I sat in my car for 2 hours, watching people walk by, letting my thoughts drift in and out of memory. And then I saw her. She stepped outside, pushing a stroller. She looked young. Her clothes were simple, her hair tied back loosely. She looked tired, like someone carrying more than she could hold. The baby in the stroller was sleeping, the same baby from the photo. I followed her at a distance as she walked into a corner shop and bought some milk. Then she headed to the park and sat on a bench near the trees. I stayed in my car, watching. My hands were cold on the steering wheel. My chest felt tight. She pulled out her phone and made a call. Her voice was gentle. "Hey. Yeah, she's fine. She just fell asleep." She smiled as she listened. I didn't need to guess who was on the other end. I already knew. It was Adam. I turned the car key and drove away. When I got home, I opened my laptop and wrote everything down. Every date, every clue, every receipt and photo. I needed to see it on the screen, all of it in one place. I needed to believe myself, because part of me still wanted to hope I was wrong, but I wasn't. That night, Adam came home later than usual. He said the meeting had gone on longer than expected. He looked tired. He kissed me like nothing had happened. I kissed him back. Then I asked, "Are you seeing someone else?" He looked at me for a moment and then gave a small laugh. "Where is this coming from?" "I just need to know," I said. My voice was calm, but my hands were trembling under the table. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Of course not." It was so smooth, so easy, so fast. Like he had practiced the line many times before. I stayed quiet, but in my heart, something had broken for the last time. Over the next few days, I watched him differently. Every smile looked like acting. Every word felt like a cover. He asked about my day and complimented my cooking. He told me I looked beautiful in the new blue sweater I had bought. But I could not feel anything anymore. Not fear, not sadness, only distance. I called Layla. I asked her to come over. When she arrived, I showed her the photo. Her face dropped. She looked between the photo and me, unsure of what to say. "That's him?" she asked. "Yes, that's Adam," I said. I had no idea. She never said he was married. She said his name was Sam. I looked at the picture again. "That's his middle name." Layla sat beside me in silence. Then she asked, "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," I said quietly. "But I can't live like this." Layla touched my hand. "You're stronger than you think." I didn't feel strong, but maybe I could try. The next time Adam said he had a work meeting, I waited 10 minutes, then followed him. He took the same route, turned the same corners, walked down the same quiet street. He knocked on the red door again. The woman opened it and smiled. I parked my car. I waited 5 minutes. Then I got out and walked up to the door. She answered on the 3rd knock. She looked at me with confusion. I said, "Hi, my name is Julia. I'm Adam's wife." She stepped outside and quietly closed the door behind her. She was silent at first. Then she said, "He told me you were divorced, that you left him 2 years ago." My stomach dropped. She continued, "He said you didn't want kids, that you had moved on. He said he only came here for the baby." I stared at her. I didn't know if I felt angry or sorry. "We've been married for 8 years. I've been here the whole time." She covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know." I believed her. I could see the shock in her face. She was not the enemy. She was another woman lost in his lies. "He's been telling me he's traveling for work," I said. "But he's been here." She looked down. "I thought he loved me." "I did too," I said softly. We stood there in silence. 2 women who had believed the same man. 2 lives broken by the same lies. "I need to leave," I said finally. "I'm not here to hurt you, but I can't keep living in the dark." She took a small step back. "I understand," she said, her voice low. I turned and walked away. When I got back to my car, I let myself cry. Not loudly, just enough. Just quietly, like someone letting go of a world they thought was real. I did not drive home right away. I stayed parked in that quiet street for nearly an hour. The sun had gone down, and the lights in the houses began to turn on one by one. I could see a child's shadow moving behind the curtains of the red brick house. The woman, I still did not know her name, was now inside, holding the pieces of her own broken reality. I wondered if she was crying too. I wondered if she would tell Adam I had come. For a moment I thought about going back, knocking again, asking for the full truth, dates, promises, lies. But what would it change? I already had the only truth I needed. He had built a second life without me, and now I had to decide what to do with the life I had left. As I drove away, my mind felt strangely calm. There were no more what-if questions, no more waiting for proof. The truth was no longer hiding. At home, I placed my bag by the door and walked into the kitchen. The apartment was quiet. Adam wasn't home yet. I stood in the middle of the room and looked around. The dining table we bought together, the framed photo from our trip to Greece, the rug his mother had sent us last winter. Everything around me was part of a shared life, built on his lie. I sat down and opened my laptop again. This time, I did not write down what had happened. I wrote what I needed next, what I would take, what I would leave, who I would call, where I would go. I was not ready to confront him that night, but I knew now I would not stay, not after this. Adam came home late that night. He looked tired, the same as always. He placed his keys in the bowl near the door and asked, "Did you have a good time in Bristol?" I looked at him. I almost admired how calm he sounded, how well he played his part. I gave him a small smile and said, "Yes, it was quiet. I needed the break." He nodded, took off his coat, and went to the bathroom. While he was gone, I stood in the living room holding the photo in my hand, the one I had printed. Him, the woman, the baby, the life he never told me about. I had kept it folded in my bag until now. I opened it and looked at it again, knowing this would be the night I stopped pretending. He came out of the bathroom and saw the paper in my hand. "What's that?" he asked. I walked over to the table and placed the photo down. He looked at it. His face changed. He did not speak. "Her name is Amelia," I said. "She told me everything." He sat down slowly. "You followed me?" he asked, his voice quiet. "I needed to see the truth," I replied. "And now I have." There was silence. "I didn't want to hurt you," he finally said. "But you did," I answered. "You hurt me every day you lied." He looked down at his hands. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way." "Then how was it supposed to happen?" I asked. "Was I supposed to live my whole life in the dark?" He did not answer. I walked to the cupboard and took out a small suitcase. I had packed most of my things the night before. My clothes, my documents, a few photos, nothing more. "I'm leaving," I said. "I deserve better than this." He stood up, panic in his voice. "Julia, wait. Please. Let's talk about this." "I've talked enough," I said. "I asked you. You lied. I watched you walk into another life while pretending to care about this one. I don't need more words. I need distance." He stepped forward. "She doesn't mean what you think. It was complicated." I stopped him with a look. "Don't explain it. Don't try to make this small. A baby isn't a mistake. A second home isn't a detail. You didn't just cheat on me. You built another life without me in it." He stood frozen. I walked to the door with my suitcase. He followed me. "Julia, don't go. We can fix this." I turned back for a moment. "I'm not the one who broke it." Then I walked out. The air outside felt cold, but I felt strangely calm. I had imagined this moment many times in the past few days, and now it was real. The hard part was over. The truth was out, and I had survived it. I drove to Layla's. She had prepared the guest room for me. When I arrived, she opened the door and gave me a quiet hug. "I'm proud of you," she said. I did not say anything, but I held on to her a little longer than usual. That night, I lay in a bed that wasn't mine, in a room that wasn't mine, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. There was no pretending, no acting, no wondering what lie I would hear next. Over the next few days, I called a lawyer. I filed the papers. I made decisions one step at a time. Slowly, carefully. I didn't rush. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted peace. Amelia called me once. She apologized again. I told her I believed her, that we were both fooled by the same man. She asked if I was okay. "I will be," I said. I did not cry much after that, not because it didn't hurt, but because I was finally facing it. The pain had space to leave my body. It no longer needed to hide. A few weeks later, Adam sent me a message. It said, "I miss you." I didn't reply. Sometimes love is not enough. Sometimes loyalty is not loyalty. It's habit, fear, or memory. I had learned that the hard way. Months passed. I moved into a small flat near the park. I found work at a charity that helped women rebuild after hard relationships. It felt strange at first, helping others while still healing myself. But over time, it helped me too. One afternoon, I saw a young couple in the park. The woman held a baby. The man kissed her forehead. I looked away, not because it hurt, but because it reminded me of who I used to be and how far I had come. Healing does not always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes slowly, like sunlight moving across a wall. One morning, I made tea and sat by the window. The light was soft. The street was quiet. And for the first time, I smiled. Not because someone else gave me a reason,